Never underestimate a goddess. What is power? Is it money, influence, brute strength? We're often taught to see power through a very narrow, very masculine lens. And when we think of divine power, especially the divine feminine, we're usually picturing something gentle and nurturing, a quiet, benevolent force that creates and sustains. But what if that's only half the story? What if the universe's most potent, most creative, and most transformative energy isn't gentle at all? What if it's a wildfire, an uncontrollable storm? What if it's pure, unyielding rage? We're often told the divine feminine is a serene, gentle thing. But what happens when its most powerful form is one of absolute fury? Today we're getting into the epic and honestly terrifying stories of goddesses who embody this fierce energy, like Durga and Kali. We'll explore the cosmic battles they fought, the demons they destroyed, and the profound truths they represent. These aren't just ancient myths. These are stories that show how destruction can be the most creative act of all. And how to truly understand power, you first have to understand divine rage. Section 1. The Story of Durga, the Radiant Protector. To get this, we first have to talk about Shakti. In Hinduism, Shakti is the raw, primordial energy of the cosmos, the force that creates, preserves, and most importantly, destroys. This energy is in everything, but it's personified in its most powerful forms as the great goddess. Think of it this way. Shiva, the masculine divine, is pure consciousness, the calm, meditative observer. But Shakti is the life force that makes it all happen. She's the dance of the cosmos itself. Our story starts when the heavens were in chaos. The Devas, the pantheon of male gods, had been beaten, humiliated, and kicked out of their own home. Their problem was an asura, a demon, named Mahishasura. Now, Mahishasura wasn't just any demon. He was a shapeshifter, born of a demon king and a water buffalo, so he could switch between human and buffalo form whenever he wanted. Through intense penance, he'd earned a boon from the creator god, Brahma. Being arrogant and seeing women as weak, Mahishasura asked that no man or god could ever kill him. Brahma granted the wish, and with this ticket to near invincibility, Mahishasura started his reign of terror. The gods were totally powerless. Their weapons were useless against a demon no male could kill. Defeated, they went to the great trinity, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. As the gods told their story, their divine anger and frustration grew into a blinding light. From their mouths and their bodies, streams of incandescent energy erupted and merged. This wasn't just anger, it was the concentrated power of the entire pantheon. From this blazing pillar of light, a figure began to form, a woman of radiant beauty and terrifying power, with a golden body and a serene face, but eyes that burned like 1,000 suns. She had a cascade of mighty arms, the stories say 10 or even 18, each ready for battle. This was the birth of Durga, whose name means the impenetrable. She was the physical embodiment of all the gods' power, created for one reason: to destroy the evil they couldn't touch. The gods, humbled and awestruck, knew she was their savior. They armed her, each one giving her their most powerful weapon. Shiva gave her his trident, Vishnu his mighty discus. Indra, king of the gods, gave her his thunderbolt. Each weapon wasn't just a gift, it was a symbol of a different divine power, now all wielded by one being. She was a divine Avengers Assemble moment, a singular force with the might of all. Dressed in celestial armor, she mounted a fearsome lion, a symbol of her own unrestrained power, and let out a roar that shook the very foundations of the world. When Mahishasura heard that roar, he felt a flicker of unease. He sent his armies, but Durga wiped them out effortlessly. Enraged, Mahishasura charged onto the battlefield himself. What followed was a battle that raged for 9 days and nights. Mahishasura was a tricky opponent. He He constantly shapeshifted from a buffalo to a lion to an elephant to a man with a sword, trying to confuse her. But Durga was always a step ahead, her movements a blur of deadly grace. On the 10th day, exhausted and cornered, Mahishasura returned to his most powerful form, a colossal, charging buffalo. But Durga was ready. With the force of the cosmos behind her, she pinned him to the ground with her trident. Then, with a single, swift movement of her divine sword, she beheaded him. The demon was dead. The universe was saved. The gods rejoiced, hailing her as the slayer of Mahishasura. Durga's story is a powerful reminder that the divine feminine isn't just a nurturing mother. She's also the ultimate protector. She is righteous anger, the focused power needed to confront evil and preserve moral order. She is the warrior who rises when all other powers fail. Section 2. The Story of Kali, the Primal Force. Durga's victory brought peace, but as we know, evil finds a way. The story of the fierce goddess doesn't end there. In fact, it gets way more intense. Durga showed us the power needed to beat an external enemy. But what happens when the enemy is more chaotic, more insidious, and seems to multiply the more you fight it? For that, you need an even more primal, more untamed form of the divine feminine. This brings us to Raktabija, a demon whose name literally means bloodseed. Raktabija had a terrifying power. Every single drop of his blood that hit the ground would instantly spring up into a perfect clone of himself. You can see the problem. The more you hurt him, the bigger his army got. Attacking him was literally feeding his power. In a fierce battle, Durga and her warrior goddesses, the Matrikas, took on Raktabija. But with every wound they inflicted, 1,000 more demons rose from the blood. The battlefield was quickly overrun. It was a frustrating, unwinnable war. Durga's controlled, righteous fury wasn't enough to stop this self-replicating evil. It was in this moment of divine frustration that something new was born. As Durga's brow furrowed in absolute rage, her third eye burst open, and from it emerged Kali. Her appearance was a shock. Where Durga was golden and radiant, Kali was depicted with black or deep blue skin, signifying the formless, all-encompassing void. She was gaunt, with wild, disheveled hair and a long, blood-red tongue hanging from her mouth. She was naked, unbound by any illusion. Around her neck, she wore a garland of human skulls, representing infinite knowledge, and around her waist, a skirt of severed hands, symbolizing liberation from the ties of karma. She was raw, untamed, primal energy. She was destruction personified. Kali let out a horrifying shriek and charged. She wasn't a strategic warrior like Durga. She was a force of nature. As she sliced through Raktabija and his clones, she did something no one else could. She stretched out her massive tongue and drank every single drop of his blood before it could touch the ground. She consumed the very source of his power, starving the evil of its ability to regenerate. Finally, she held the original demon aloft, drank his lifeblood, and utterly devoured him. The threat was gone. But Kali's rampage wasn't over. Intoxicated by blood, she was lost in a frenzy of destruction, and her wild dance of victory grew so powerful it threatened to shatter the entire cosmos. The terrified gods pleaded with Lord Shiva to intervene. Shiva, her divine partner, knew he couldn't stop her with force, so he lay down on the battlefield, still and passive among the carnage. As Kali continued her wild dance, she suddenly stepped on his chest. The shock of realizing she was dancing on the body of pure consciousness brought her back to herself. Her fury subsided. She stuck out her tongue in a gesture of surprise and shame, the very pose we see in her most famous images. The storm had passed. Kali is the ultimate paradox. She is terrifying, yet she is a compassionate mother. Her destruction isn't malicious, it's born of a fierce, loving necessity. If Durga is the warrior who protects us from external demons, Kali is the force that destroys our internal ones: ego, ignorance, and fear. She is the goddess of radical transformation. She doesn't just defeat evil, she consumes it, transmutes it, and reveals the raw truth underneath. She is the necessary chaos before creation, the death that must come before rebirth. Section 3. Analysis: the deeper meaning. So, what does it all mean? It's easy, especially from a Western view of good versus evil, to look at a figure like Kali and just see a monster. But that's a huge misreading. To understand Durga and Kali is to understand that power, protection, and transformation have many faces. They are two sides of the same divine feminine coin, Shakti. Durga represents the preservation of order. She's the righteous warrior who shows up when the world is threatened by a great evil, like tyranny or injustice. Think of Mahishasura. Durga is the collective power and focused anger needed to fight back. She is beautiful and composed even in battle, symbolizing a controlled use of power. She's the force you call on when you need to protect your community or overcome a challenge that feels impossible. Kali, on the other hand, is all about radical liberation. Her battleground is internal. Raktabija, the blood seed demon, is the perfect metaphor for our inner demons: negative thought patterns, addictions, and attachments. The more we try to suppress them, the more they seem to multiply. That's Raktabija. Kali's emergence from Durga's rage shows that sometimes you need to go deeper. You can't politely ask your self-destructive habits to leave. Kali teaches that you have to go straight to the root. Her drinking the blood is symbolic of utterly destroying the source of the problem. It's the fierce, tough love that says, "This is destroying you, so I will destroy it for you." It's terrifying, but it's necessary for real growth. She is the ultimate glow down before the glow up. Her dark, naked form represents the ultimate reality beyond all illusions. In the face of time and death, our social constructs just fade away. Kali is that void from which everything comes and to which everything returns. This is the beautiful duality in Hindu thought. Creation and destruction aren't opposites. They're two parts of the same cycle. The same mother who protects you, Durga, is the same mother who tears down your illusions to set you free, Kali. Section 4. Modern relevance and conclusion. So why should we care about these ancient stories today? Because the demons they fought never really left. Mahishasura and Raktabija are still here, just in different forms. Mahishasura is the force of systemic oppression and injustice that tells people they are weak. Durga is the archetype of collective action, of righteous anger channeled for change. When people march for justice or protect their communities, that is Durga's energy. She reminds us that anger, used in the service of justice, is a divine tool. And Kali? Kali is more relevant than ever. We live in a world that constantly feeds our inner Raktabija. Our anxieties, our desires, our egos are fueled by social media and consumer culture. Raktabija is that voice in your head telling you you're not good enough, the doom-scrolling habit you can't break, the baggage from the past that keeps cloning itself in your present. Kali is the radical act of cutting through all that noise. She is the courage to face your own darkness. She is the messy, painful work of self-transformation, the energy that pushes you to end a toxic relationship or quit a soul-crushing job. Her path isn't easy. It requires you to look at the ugliest parts of yourself. But on the other side of that destruction is true freedom. She teaches us that sometimes you have to burn it all down to build something new. The divine feminine isn't just one thing, it's the full spectrum. It's the creator and the destroyer, the calm and the storm. To embrace it fully is to embrace all of it, the light and the dark, the rage and the compassion. So never underestimate a goddess, and never underestimate the fierce, powerful energy that resides in you. The power to protect what is right, and the power to destroy what no longer serves you, so you can dance wild and free in the fire of your own becoming. These goddesses represent two very different approaches to life's battles. So we want to know, which goddess do you relate to more right now? Are you in a Durga phase, fighting against external challenges? Or are you in a Kali phase, ready to tear down your own inner obstacles? Let us know in the comments.